Hi there, welcome back to On the Flip Side. My name is Adam Shawaki, your host. Today we are going to be covering the 2018 record from author and Punisher, Beastland. Author and Punisher is a one-man industrial drone project that I've been following over the past few years. He has been active since 2004, but within the past several years, I've been kind of following more and more on his stuff, and it's something that I've been enjoying quite a bit, so I thought I would go over this record with y'all. So to start off the record, we have track 1 with Pharmacide. This song really pretty much starts off the record pretty much exactly how you would expect, with like a mechanical kind of drone hum and weird modulated noises that build in intensity and grit. This project kind of blurs the line a lot between like a noise project and industrial, and definitely kind of reminds me a lot of like the Boris and Merzbow collaboration albums, just in a sonic sense. They're very, very similar, not, you know, the same genres here. Obviously this isn't like a noise project with like, you know, like a doom band separately. I mean, this is just one guy, so it's kind of like taking those ideas and like having them come from the same source. So similar sound, different kind of execution, but it's very similar in tone. The beat for this track after the intro kind of comes in a little ways into the track in a very heavy kind of off-kilter, off-tempo kind of beat. The vocals are incredibly distorted and are very, very reminiscent of like the kind of classic Skinny Puppy tracks. Pretty much everything here like oozes classic industrial, with a huge dip into sludge and doom stylings. The abrasion on this track pretty much hits you immediately, and you know, it's violent, it's unforgiving, and it's a excellent mood setter for this album. Track 2 is Nile Strength. This track somehow delves even further into the abrasive side of these things for a pulverizing effect on the eardrums. This is a very, very good example of a track that benefits from being played at high volume. This song is relatively simple with a few change-ups, but you know, I think it's pretty effective in its simplicity. Track 3 is Ode to Bedlam. There's kind of a pattern I'm starting to notice on this album where like a song will start off with like a little sample that plays just to kind of build tension, and then just drops into a slamming heavy beat. It's a tried and true method, but it's pretty noticeable from this point on the album. Not every track here does it, but like this album is like very, very like close to that formula. It's like it's pretty far married to it, you know. This song is definitely a little bit closer to the hip and doesn't really let go too much. It's still very, very drone heavy, but it's definitely, you know, kind of the meat of the record. This is not a single at this point, you know. There's like the vocals here also kind of start to vary themselves a bit more for a little bit more melody. Overall, pretty decent track. I do enjoy the spots where the music kind of fades back and like they kind of let the drone and the backing ambient track kind of take center stage. I just think like the execution here and like the assembly of parts is really well done. Track 4 is The Speaker is Systematically Blown. This is probably one of the first Author and Punisher tracks I ever heard, and it's you know, pretty much still as fresh now as it was the first time I heard it. In spirit, I think it kind of has the same mojo as like the track System Blower by Death Grips. Song is just pretty much entirely meant to be a massive wall of noise that any audio setup would wrestle with just to kind of handle that much gain. It's a really fantastic track, and it puts you into a bit of like a high volume trance. Not too much else to say on this one. It's a very, very straightforward song in comparison to some of the other songs in this album, which are, you know, like the whole album has kind of a straightforward, no bullshit vibe, but this song really follows that to a T. Track 5 is Nazarene. I can already say this is one of the most standout tracks to me on this record. Nazarene has such a fantastic progression sonically. It just builds and builds. I also really love that the vocal delivery on this song, like it's really melancholy. It kind of like floats over top of the rest of the mix and then kind of delves and dives into like the instrumentals a lot. In a lot of segments, it kind of just like breaks through walls of distortion. Like the audio track is just sort of dipping down and like breaking through these huge like walls of sound, and like kind of wrestles and fights with it in the process. It's a really interesting effect that they do there. I really love the way the song sounds, and I'm pretty glad here that they put this song a little ways into the album track listing wise. It's just as heavy as any other song on the album, but it does a lot with its melody and writing, and it's almost like a bit of a breather from like this full frontal assault of an album. It really helps with the pacing. Track 6 is Apparition. This song reminds me a lot of like Downward Spiral era Nine Inch Nails, especially with this like brooding heavy intro that sounds a lot like the intro to like Mr. Self-Destruct off of the Downward Spiral. I mean, the main beat of this track even kind of sounds like an outtake off of like Ghosts 1 through 4. Regardless of the parallels that you could draw between Author and Punisher on this record and like classic era 9 Inch Nails, this is a really, really heavy and slowed down track, and it's pretty stripped down here in comparison to a lot of the rest of the songs here. The noise and drone is still there, but there's a lot of like pauses in delivery in some of these segments. It helps give the track like more intention in how the song is delivered. Moments like this, you know, on this track, like there's a lot of moments that are kind of like a controlled chaos, especially so like on this track. Track 7 is Night Terror. The first impression I had of this song was kind of weird. It just kind of threw me off listening to it, and like I don't even think in a bad way, but something about this track that I can't quite put my finger on just stands out to me in a really weird way, and I'm not sure why. Not any idea what the hell is up with it, but it's just kind of like itching and like pointing me towards like a kind of like an uncanny valley vibe, and like a lot of songs don't do that, so I'm not sure what's up with that for me personally. I do really enjoy the track. You know, it's unsettling, it's brooding, it's fully unhinged. The audio portrait here that's being painted here, it's just incredibly intense, and just sitting with it is just, it's really top notch. I do really enjoy this song, but yeah, it definitely throws me for a loop, and I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe someone with like some music theory knowledge could drop in the comments, like if they're doing something weird here, if maybe it's just me. Track 8 is Beastland, the final and title track of the record. Swings in like a sledgehammer, just, you know, with a huge beat and these roaring synths that are like modulated going over the track, and they just kind of build on top of each other. This one really leans hard into the drone elements. It kind of seems like a bit of an industrial jam that slowly falls apart and kind of disassembles itself. I really love the way that this song kind of progresses down, like it progresses down its own like run length and kind of disassembles itself, and I just like that self-analyzing aspect of this track a lot. You know, it breaks down more and more and more, and then kind of fades back up again, or well, I guess kind of abruptly interrupts itself with like these huge bass notes, these huge just pounding bass lines. But at the same time as those are reintroduced into the track, they've kind of stripped back the rest of the sound on the song as well. It's really interesting to listen to. They kind of just wait until the sound is just disgustingly raw and heavy, and everything about this song is very, very unforgiving, and I think if there's a song on here that you can kind of obviously tell, you know, they spent a lot of time on, it's this one. Like, this one is clearly really meticulously crafted. As far as final thoughts on this album, I have kind of noticed this trend in like modern industrial, especially in this modern industrial revival that we're going through right now. These new bands that have picked up, you know, where many of these classic era industrial bands have left off, seem to kind of up the intensity of the bass blueprints for this genre. Whereas classic industrial music, in my opinion, is kind of a blend of like dance or pop with like walls of distortion and grimy production. This new era kind of leans really fully into the grit of things, especially so in the case of Author and Punisher, blending these drone and doom elements into their industrial playbook. Many of these contemporary acts like Three Teeth or The Body or Youth Code are really carrying that torch of industrial spirit, in my opinion. And a lot of the attitude as well, in a more streamlined and more efficient audio package. In the past, I have shied away from giving like numerical scores to albums, and I don't necessarily like doing so, but I think just for like the sake of like being less vague and being a lot more clear with my thoughts on a record in like a really succinct manner, I think that I'm just going to start scoring a lot of these records. This one, I think I would give a solid 8 to, but I think from here on out, I'm definitely going to be, you know, giving some more numerical scores to albums. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Leave what you thought of the album in the comments below. What should I review next? And thank you all so much for watching again. I really, really appreciate, you know, the traffic that's been coming through my channel lately. You guys have been fantastic. I'm trying my best to keep up on uploads. I have gone back to work since like the pandemic has started, and I'm now working full-time again, so my uploading schedule for these has been kind of, you know, a lot less solid lately. I definitely want to get more of these videos out to you guys, and I am in the works to get some more upgrades to my equipment. I think the new camera is probably going to stick around for a while because I just got it, but I think at some point soon I'm going to be upping the mics and a bit of the audio quality. So again, thank you all so much again, and we'll see you on the flip side.